Happy New Year. February kicks off a tremendous amount of energy, and it is the official start, February 4th, of the solar new year for the Chinese calendar, and the 17th, on an eclipse, by the way, is the Chinese Lunar New Year, where we're welcoming in the energies of the fire horse. And this is a February to remember, you guys. I can't even find the words or the descriptive adjectives to really bring this home, because it's not only the solar and lunar Chinese New Year bringing much needed fire into our collective experience, both mundane and personally, but it is, there are other astrological transitions that are happening that have not been seen in recorded history in the way that it's showing up this month. And those that are correlated to recent history are related to revolution, high-speed technology changes, war, lots and lots of heated tension, power grabs and change. Again, like there's just more coming down the pipeline to transform what our world looks like, both as individuals and as a collective. So definitely had to do a I Ching reading for February 2026. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Miss Be Ecstatic, where I do all things divination, astrology, tarot, and we take a deep dive into the messages of the living spirit of the I Ching. Welcome back. Please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment, and let's get to it. All right, so I've grounded in, I've said my prayer, and I've written a message, and we're keeping things really, really simple around here. I am still waiting on gear, and so we are going to use the translation by Benabel Wen and my go-to Tao Oracle by Ma Deve Padma. And the other one we might look into is R.L. Wing translations. It's a workbook. I recommend it if you're starting off. Okay, what else? What else? Okay, I did want to make one comment about just one additional comment. We're going into a year that's going to be very fast. And I say fast because the elemental change is significant. There's an abundance of fire and air, or like if in astrology it would be air. In the 5 elements, it is the metal energy. So there's metal, there's fire, there's very little earth, and there's no water. So in order to balance our emotions, it's just more crucial to balance our emotions, to ground in, or like anchor into a purpose, anchor into something very specific. Use all your tools for grounding so that we're not carried away in a destructive manner with the fire energy. It's powerful, it's creative, it's regenerative, and it's going to be fun. I'm so looking forward to it, and I'm thirsty for the fire. And it could be troublesome. So I just wanted to make that comment, a little disclaimer in context to what we're doing here. The message is simple. It is really just for whoever finds this video, okay? And I'm talking about 2026 and February and any opportunities or messages, oh my gosh, that are available at this time. All right, so we're gonna get started. Messages and opportunities available at this time for those viewing. Messages and opportunities available at this time for those viewing. Oh, can you see that? There we go. Messages and opportunities available at this time for those viewing. Messages and opportunities available at this time for those viewing. Messages and opportunities available at this time for those viewing. Messages and opportunities available at this time for those viewing. Okay, so we have our lines. And first out we have thunder, and it's in the heaven position. And then we have a solid line in the middle, which always reminds me of that it's water. Water cannot be destroyed. It only condenses and can be compressed or held in its container, right? So it's always solid in the middle of the three lines. If it is, and the reverse is true, if there's solid outer lines and an open inner line, then that's fire, because you can, even though it's hot, you can go right through it. That's just my little trick to remember the trigram. So this is water, thunder and water. Here in Arizona where I live, there was a couple of days of thunderstorms. It was tremendous. It was lovely. And there was flooding, and there was mud and muck. And the desert out here, we really need it. So right out the gate, we have changing lines, which will change our hexagram, or it will give us additional messages. We'll see how it progresses, is what I like to say. Okay, so what do we say? It's water on the bottom. So we have water right here. You see that? Water. I like this quick guide because it does actually mimic a little bit of the element that it's talking about, or that it represents. Okay, and then we have thunder right on the top. So we have hexagram 40 as our first hexagram. Now, just while I'm here, I'm going to redo our changing lines to just show what they change into, and then it'll change our hexagram. And see again, so it's a ton of yang energy here. So this is heaven. Heaven is on earth, in the earth position, the bottom trigram. And we still have thunder in the heaven position. My pen's weakening out. Okay. So again, we come to our handy dandy guide. Can you see it okay? All right. So we have heaven on the bottom and thunder on the top, which is 34. And we can look at that overall, but we are going to look specifically at these changing lines for additional messages. Okay, hang tight. What's happening here? Okay, I just wanted to sneak this in to show the different ways that the guides look. So I've just gotten this book. I've been watching Benabelle's videos for like 3-4 years. She does great work. She also has guides on tarot. And yeah, she does a great job of bringing mystical and academic kind of, well, not so much academic, more mystical traditions to Taoism and magic, essentially. The craft of her lineage. So this is another, again, it says up here in the corner, upper corner, upper trigram, so you would look across this way, lower trigram to get the bottom in order to build our hexagram. Beautiful, right? All right, we're going to see what 40 is. In her book, she also shows a more traditional way of using the I Ching divination with the yarrow sticks, and has an explanation of the significance of the changing lines in and of themselves. So really, she's done an incredible job compiling a resource to understanding the I Ching. And just to be clear, I've read several academic translations by Western anthropologists, or I would just say academics from institutional education and maybe doing. Anyway, it's very dry, it's very stuffy, and it's very like heady, and sometimes really hard to get through or read because it's just so dense, full of interpretive information about the text in which they're translating, which is fair. So her work is really refreshing because it gives there's like a sense of an imprint of memory that she's sharing from, that is her lineage. So there's traditions passed down, there's verbal learning, there's something more tangible, approachable, and meaningful that's relatable. So I really like her work. Okay, sorry about that. I just wanted, as I was flipping through the book, I had to share. It's there's really great storytelling tradition in this book, and it's refreshing. It's just really nice to read. And I derive so much more meaning from her translation than the workbook or even the older translations that you've seen me use before. They're very, they use terms that we don't use every day that are not relatable. And then you have someone else from a Western academic perspective translating those phrases and words. It's very convoluted, harder to get through or derive something personal. So I highly recommend her book. Okay, just as a side note. Okay, here we are. Hexagram 40, release of tension, which makes sense with the thunder and the water. The beautiful kanji here, the old traditional kanji, and then the hexagram. Jen being thunder, Kan being water. I don't know how to say that, but we have wood and water as the elemental presence here. Her message from the oracle: when your endeavor has not been completed, do not procrastinate, bring it to completion. When your endeavor has been completed, a prompt return to stability will bring you good fortune. Do not bask in the afterglow of glory. Go straight back to work. What you contemplate doing, proceed with. You will outsmart even the smart. You hunt rather than run. Sever ties with those who bring you sorrow. In your endeavor, you encounter naysayers. Cut yourself loose from their hold over you. the unity of a knot, the unraveling of a complication, redemption is recovery. And here it says there's no rest for the weary, baby. So there's again that energy of completing. I'm tying in the year of the snake. We've let go. We've cut ties. We are done being sorrowful, grieving and being sad, and we're unraveling complications. And I think of that as the snake's skin and the compression and tension, and we are releasing that tension as we step into the year of the fire horse. A thunderstorm, release of tension, liberation. The sage will pardon their faults. Themes prevailing: forgiveness, kindness, amnesty. Gains arising from the southwest. The field is fertile. Signs of the bull. Without a destination, do not go. So focused, purposeful productivity and planning, obviously. Let's see. With a destination, go forth with swift motion and speed. There is urgency. Early mornings are auspicious. Old ways are favorable. What you are going through, one who came before you went through it too. There are old ways that will guide you until you are set free. The old oracle bone script, Su, is that of a man holding or venerating, the moon, hands lifted in prayer towards the crescent. Another interpretation of the script image is that of a person working judiciously under the light of the moon, suggesting tenacity, perseverance, and a dedication to one's work. Okay, so then what I'm getting from this is there's like a devotion to moving forward and holding the purposeful, like devotion implying purpose, devotion implying a commitment. The old ways, so sticking with the tried and true, the things that we know work. Water. Water holds memory of our ancestors. Water is the regenerative, each of the elements have a regenerative property. Water holds the imprint of our ancestors, the memories, DNA. It crystallizes our thoughts. It brings the energy of our heart's desire and emotions into crystallization and manifestation in the physical. So there's a liberation through the thunder. Sharp, insightful, initiating insights, perhaps, available at this time. For me, during the February 1st full moon, it was, I could feel gentle release through tears, water, of some of the past, like just knowing that, like the pain of the past, I feel it less and less, and that it's further and further away from where I am in my present moment, and that it doesn't have power over me anymore. And still the beauty of it has an imprint, right? It still has an imprint. But I felt, and I still feel, optimistic and encouraged by the growth that I've had. And I hope you do too. I hope you see how far you've come since these last years, but even just in 2025 to this transitional year. So let's see. I'm going to turn the page here. There's a translation for each line. And so actually the first line was a changing line. So we can read a little bit about this line because it's moving. It says, first line, there is no blame. More commonly, oracle messages offer a little more insight before they state a judgment of no blame, blameless, no fault, or no errors. Here, this recurring phrase throughout the Luigi is the whole of the first line. That is, not said is just, what is not said is just as important as what is said. Ouija means that no fault is being assigned. Errors are inconsequential. What you're experiencing now isn't the consequence of mistakes made in the past. It just is what it is. One sense of the term is denoting an act of God, and therefore assuring you that you are absolved of any culpability for what transpires. In the revelations of Ouija, the oracle is also reassuring you to not condemn yourself and not to be the cause of any unnecessary further suffering or unhappiness. Do not punish yourself. You are blameless. Sorry about that. There we go. That no other context is offered as the oracle gets straight to the point is poignant. You've been blaming yourself. You think what happened was within your control, and some missteps of yours caused it all to go in the direction that it did. All untrue. There is no blame to go around in the mortal world. What happened was an act of God. So, just like in the tarot, we have the 22 major arcana, and we recognize them as being representations of the divine, Great Spirit, God, if you want to use God, creator, creatrix. It's the source that is moving without our effort, without our knowing. It is the pulse, the creative impulse of life that has its own, it conspires in the background, behind the scenes, in ways that we don't understand. That like the Tao, to try to explain the Tao is impossible. There's no words to contain the Tao. So there are things that are happening that are beyond our understanding. And so that first line, that first moving line, no blame, there's a higher power moving things. All right, so then we had the third line, I believe. Yes, the third line also was changing. And the third line says, burdened with carrying the sack, steering a wagon, attracting thieves, remorse, a sense of loss. So it says, to prevent a regrettable outcome, endeavor for corrective measures before proceeding, adjusting your perspective. Otherwise, there will be remorse. The narrative told by the third line is that of a porter. While most porters travel by foot, here is one who has become quite well-to-do and thus reaches just a little beyond his means to travel by wagon, as one of the wealthier merchants would do. Here is one displaying wealth and a manner that will attract envy. So we have to stay humble. Stay humble and present ourselves in a humble way. Let's see, it also suggests one whose head is in the clouds and is shirking responsibility. So yeah, this is also, again, we need to stay really grounded at this time of fast moving change. Not get too greedy is what I'm hearing. Not be too lazy. Stay humble and allow Creator to move through you, and know that there is a greater outcome if we are able to stay in alignment with Spirit. An adjustment of perspective is in order. Be more frugal and appear more modest. That's a good word, modest. Here also carries a connotation of your male ancestors, or a stone altar offering for offerings to your ancestors. Thus, the subtext reminds you to venerate your male ancestors. All that yang energy that those changing lines create from the water. So the bottom trigram, oh, sorry. Yeah, the bottom trigram is water. And I just spoke of how the ancestors hold memory in water. Well, in our bones too, right? So, and the changing lines have all yang at the bottom. They create another hexagram with all yang at the bottom trigram. So the male, solid, stone, phallic. Thus, the subtext reminds you to venerate your male ancestors. This evening, burn incense and place out choice dried meats as an offering for them. In the morning, burn another stick of incense as an offering, pray for a message from them, and then perform another I Ching divination. That subsequent divination will be a direct message from your ancestors. I love that advice. I love that. Again, it's so tangible of a practice, of a way to apply what the interpretation offers. So lovely. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside for a moment because we do have another hexagram 34. Give me 1 second. All right, I needed a sip of water. So generally, I don't like to read too much from the translations, but I really am new to this book, and I am familiarizing myself with it, and I'm just loving it, and I really just want to share it with you, honestly. So in future videos, there might be less of me reading directly from the book and showing you the book as I'm doing it. But right now, I just want to introduce you to Benabel Wen's work. It's really lovely. Okay, so hexagram 34, great power. And again, the beautiful kanji. I think that's the right word for it. And the full hexagram and the 2 trigrams that make it up. So I'm going to just read from it. The oracle. Never strike until you can strike at full strength. Be alert. Be vigilant. Great power attracts great danger. Align yourself with heaven to strike with the force of heaven, and never with the force of arrogance or vanity. Do not use excessive force. Be tempered, measured, and fair. Only one who is weak would be merciless. Great power subjects one to great injury, a favorable omen for fulfillment of destiny, but be wise, or else your blessings can become your downfall. Thunder and lightning strike, exalted strength, the making of greatness. The sage observes the ways of ritual, ceremony, courtesy, and prosperity. Every gesture of action in rites and in the details of etiquette reflect the whole of one's character. Favors and gains to come. Great power puts a flock in danger, but alert and vigilant, an auspicious omen. The hexagram 34 corresponds with the vernal equinox and thus symbolizes progressing growth and fertility. So it talks about the legend of Prince Hai. This is also something that's unique to this I Ching translation book. Stories. The narrative of hexagram 34 about Wang Hai, the legendary wanderer who traversed into the kingdom of Yi, herding sheep, picks up where hexagram 23 left off. He attained great prosperity and became renowned throughout the land. His prosperity as an outsider in the kingdom of Yi aroused envy, and there was a conspiracy to burn him alive in his own home. In hexagram 23, Wang Hai was able to escape with his life. However, he is not free of danger just yet. Here in hexagram 34, it seems his herd of sheep is still in danger, and those who are jealous of his success still seek to inflict harm. So the interplay added here from hexagram 33 and 34 denotes great personal power and accumulating of abundance of resources to further your endeavor. If hexagram 33 is about retreating and laying low until you're ready, then hexagram 34 is the oracle telling you you're ready, strike at full strength. However, there is a foreboding undertone, one warning of conspirators who envy your power and strength. So that is the energy of hexagram 34. It comes with a warning. And just looking for keywords, but exalted strength, the making energy of that makes greatness. But there's a lot of responsibility with that. So here we have release of tension. We're unwinding. We are removing ourselves from the pressure of the snake, the skin of the snake. We have transmuted the pressure of the memory. Sorry, I keep knocking this. I'm so over this setup. The water holding the memory of our ancestors, specifically the male line. So for some of you, that might be really significant at the moment. But and if it does resonate in a significant way, I would recommend practicing the rite of offerings to your male ancestors with whatever food you find appropriate, and then incense. So these messages are really powerful, and I do believe align really well with the kind of energy that we're stepping into for February. There's a tremendous amount of release from the past that we have worked through over 2025. And it holds the memory in the water. And the thunder is the exalted energy of greatness that we will carry with us through the fire horse year. However, we are advised by the I Ching to be modest, stay humble, be grounded. So we do need to carry the water of our ancestors to nourish us, to ground us, to keep the balance during this year moving forward if we want to see it successful. be responsible for our great achievements and advancements and that abundance of power that we're going to be stepping into. Great power, hexagram 34. And when others would maybe rest in their victory and accomplishments, it's a better, the advice is to continue with a steady advancement, to continue to hunt. So that's all I have for you today for this extraordinary new year of the Fire Horse. And yeah, if this resonates for you, I hope it was of service. I hope that this hexagram, or sorry, the hexagrams are in service. They tell a story and they show us where we are in the story and they give us guidance. It is, the I Ching is a living spirit, and when called upon, it is in service to each of us. And so I hope there's something here for you. And if not, that's okay too. We can see you in the next one. Please leave a like, a comment, subscribe if you like this content, and we'll see you soon. Ciao for now.